Hello everybody. On today's video we're going to be reviewing a rolling stock purchase that we made on trains.com here over the winter. The first piece of rolling stock is the Xylitol beer car from LGB. It's G scale, and we bought that for our beer garden themed train that we run on our garden railroad. And the other piece of rolling stock is a open wagon or a low-sided gondola also from LGB. It's G scale, and we purchased that also for our beer garden themed train, which will be running this spring and summer. So let's go ahead and unbox and do a detailed review. Okay, first up is going to be our LGB G scale four-wheel gray flat car. I would also kind of classify this as a low-sided gondola, but yeah, let's open it up and check it out. So as he's unboxing that, I'll just mention that we did buy this used from trains.com, and this car here, or this piece of rolling stock here, we paid $39.59. So as you can see, when you purchase things used, the packaging obviously isn't factory packaging, so it's pretty easy to take out of the box. Just try to remove it from the cardboard without damaging anything. Okay, and there it is. You can just take a quick look at that before we throw it on the track and give it a spin. So it looks like it came with an extra coupler. Cars typically from LGB, from USA Trains, they typically come with extra couplers here. So this one here they threw in, or it came with the car, but it's not packaged in any way. It looks like it was just kind of thrown in there, which I would expect, But yeah, so there it is. Let's throw it on the turntable and take a detailed look. Okay, so here's the LGB G-Scale four-wheeled gray flat car on the turntable. And as you can see here, while it's called a flat car, it does have low sides to it. So, I think I found this on a search for low-sided gondolas. But yeah, their description calls it a flat car. Okay, so here we have our G-Scale LGB gray four-wheel flat car on the track. And let's take a kind of a walk around it and point out some details here. So the car is basically two main colors. The body of the car here is in gray. So this would be the body structure itself with the low sides. They call it a flat car, but it seems more to me like a low-sided gondola. But at any rate, we've got four sides here that are low. We got some flooring in there, and that's all in gray. And then the frame and the truck work down here and some of these mechanics underneath, that's all in black. For details, we have a lot of simulated steel bracing. We got some corner bracing here, and then we've got some bracing along with some little bolt details in there, which is nice. We have some ring details here for tie downs, and then we have a door in the center with latches on each side, and then we have some kind of graphics here for the rail line, some details there, which is nice. Down below on the frame we have on the trucks, like I said, the two-axle four-wheel trucks. They got spoked wheels down there. There's some suspension detail here on the frame. There's some bolt detail up there and some other graphical details under there. We'll take a closer look at that when we look underneath. We got some brake details on the wheels. Yeah, so it's a pretty nice looking little wagon there. And then we've got some, I don't know if you can see them on the track with the background here, but we have some step-ups on all four corners. And we'll look at it from the end, but from here you can see probably the profile. We've got some airline detail here, a little airline structure, and then we have the typical hook and loop couplers. One end actually has the hook in the loop, the other end only has the loop, but that's typical of LGB. They basically, the hook end will latch on to just the loop end, for their cars. And that's how that works. That's why you don't need a hook on each side. Just a hook and loop on one side and a loop on the other side. All right, let's give it a spin. Okay, on the end detail here, you can see there's a part of the black framing bumper here. There's a lot of simulated bolt work, which is nice. You got, again, here's another angle of your step-ups. Hook and loop coupler on the end with a single buffer in the center. Again, your corner bracing, some other vertical bracing here. And then you've got your 3 steel rings for tie downs. And here's the end view of your airline. And then, of course, the walls of the gondola here, low-sided gondola or flat car, however you want to put that. And then you've got the LGB logo right here on the end. All right, let's bring it around. If I didn't mention it earlier, the car is about 13 inches long. On this side here, this is the opposite side. It's a mirror image of the other side. So yeah, so we get the same thing. Suspension on the trucks looks good. The whole construction is plastic, just so you know. There's no steel wheels or anything like that. It's all completely plastic. We got the graphics on the side, same door detail, the tie-down rings, and then some underneath kind of bracing here for the frame below. Let's bring it around. Okay, on this end here, it's pretty much a mirror image of the opposite side. We don't have the LGB logo here. There's a little plate there that looks like something should be on there, but it does not say LGB there. But we've got 3 tie-down rings, airline, step-ups here on each side, single buffer in the center, and just the loop coupler, part of the coupler on this side. Let's bring it around full circle. And there it is. Hey, let's take a look at the top. Okay, looking down from the top here, we have some simulated planking here, and we've got some nice wood grain details in there, which is kind of nice. Then we've got these little nubs here. They looks like from the plastic molding, possibly. I don't know if they serve any purpose for the car itself, but you can see here. One thing it doesn't have is on the inside of the gondola here. If you can tilt it up so you can see the inside of the wall. This is smooth here. There's no like wood detail in here or anything like that. It's just smooth on the inside walls. Okay, let's take a look at the bottom. Yeah, so the bottom here, most of the details in the framework here, you can see some simulated mechanics here on the underneath side. Here's some of those bracing that's located down below. Plastic wheels. Here's our hook and loop couplers. Then you've got a screw so that if you want to change those couplers out, you can do that. We have a tendency to put a hook and loop coupler on either end. So for the LGB cars, just so that this kind of forces you into running these in a certain direction, since they only couple to another car in one direction using the hook and loop end. So what we tend to do is we have so many extra couplers from the G-scale purchases that we've made that we typically swap out, this. Well, not even necessarily swap it out, but we'll put a hook piece there on the end so that both ends are true hook and loop. And as a matter of fact, we got the hook part of the coupler with the car that you might have seen at the beginning. So we'll probably do that. There's a little pivot point here for, there's a little pivot point here for the truck, as you can see. Yeah, that's just about it. We got some logoing here for the company, LGB company here on that truck right there. I don't know if you can see it or not, but yeah, so that's the bottom. All right, let's give it one more spin. And there it is, the LGB four-wheel flat car in gray. Okay, next up is the LGB Xylitol beer car. And this car is supposed to have a light. We haven't unboxed it yet, but that's what the description says. Yeah, so we're going to unbox it and check it out. All right, that was an easy unboxing. Similar to the flat car that we will be unboxing or have unboxed. Again, we purchased this from trains.com and we paid about $101.92 for this. We've seen this on trains.com before and on Only Trains, I think, in some of their used stuff. And typically I find that this car here goes for about, I don't know, about 120 bucks usually, or 125 I think is the average that we've seen. So when we saw it for $101.92, we figured we'd take the opportunity and pick it up. So we're going to be running this car on our train that's kind of themed after our beer garden. Yeah, so we have a train that has cars that, you know, kind of European, German beer cars that we run on our railroad because we have a beer garden and we want to carry the theme through. So yeah, let's throw it on the turntable and let's take a detailed look. Okay, so there it is. There's our LGB G-Scale Xylitol beer car. Now we bought, as I said, we bought this used from trains.com. It has a little person with it, which was kind of a surprise. When we unboxed it, there was a person floating around in the inside of the cabin there. And I'm not sure if a brand new one of these would have come with a figure, but yeah, we'll take it. Okay, just a couple of fun facts here. So when we bought this car, you know, our intention was, as I've said, to run it with our beer garden themed train. But this car actually runs on the Ziller Valley Railroad. And it runs on a line from Jenbach to Meyerhofen. I don't know exactly where those places are on the map, but I'm sure they could easily be found. Yeah, and you can sit in the bar, and typically they run this with a steam locomotive and a couple of other old-timey cars. So there you have it. Okay, let's give it a quick spin on the turntable. Okay, so as you can see here, it's pretty obvious, the shape of the car here. It has a huge beer barrel on one end, and then it has a kind of a cabin on the other end there where there is a bar that would be located in the real operating car. And there's some details on the inside here. You might be able to see some of those yellow benches and bars and things like that in there. It's got some signage on the outside here. Adel Pils and Adel Musen, I think is how you might pronounce that. Xylitol beers, and then the nice big Xylitol beer signage right across the bottom there. And then here, Xylitolbahn is maybe the rail line that it runs on. If anybody knows for sure, leave it in the comments. Yeah, so we got some nice yellow trim here on the cabin, kind of a aged kind of gray roof on the top. The framework below is all in black, and you've got some mechanical details under here. You've got some step-ups on the ends. The wheels are metal because there is a light in this that's supposed to be operational. Now, we just unboxed it and we haven't tested that yet, but we intend to. But just so you know, the construction is all plastic except for those wheels and the electronic connections to the light. It's got hook and loop couplers. Now, the last car that we unboxed was a gray four-wheel flat car, and we said typically on LGB that they have a hook and loop coupler on one end and just a loop on the other end. This one happens to have a hook and loop coupler on both ends. So either somebody had added the hook to one end, or in this case here, for this car here, LGB put a hook and loop on both ends. But from our experience, they typically put a hook and loop on one end and just a loop on the other end. So anyway, but just because this is used, that might be the reason for that here. And then we have in profile here, you might see the airline details. That is typical for the LGB cars. All right, let's give it a turn. Okay, so on the back of the car here, you have, starting with the roof line here, you've got kind of this very shallow A-frame roof, and then you've got some nice decorative woodwork here, trim work on the ends. So you got some little planking down here. Looks pretty nice. The color is this, again, this yellow with this brownish, cabin work here. It looks like, kind of like clapboard along the back there. A yellow door. That door is functional. That door opens. Then you've got kind of the back platform here that somebody could step out onto here. It's got a chain detail here. That's not a real chain. That's just a plastic molding there. And then on the platform here, you've got some simulated bolt work, which is a nice detail. Then you got the steps on both sides. You've got a single center buffer. And you've got the hook and loop coupler on the end. And you've also got, I don't know if you can see them, maybe when we turn it and go back to the side, you've got these little hand rails here that if somebody's stepping up here, they can grab those to get onto the back deck. But yeah, nice detail there on the back. Let's continue to spin. Okay, so this is basically a mirror image of the opposite side. Again, you've got all the same signage over here. So there's not a whole lot to say. That yellow trim kind of carries across here. Some of on a house, I guess that would be fascia. That kind of trim board. And yeah, and then you got a little window detail here. The windows down here. This is open up here. So yeah, very nice looking car. Let's continue around. Okay, at the other end we have the end of the barrel, or the keg, I guess, since it's beer that we're talking about here. But there's a window detail here, outlined in the yellow. This is kind of a more washed out yellow. I'm sure it's supposed to be the same color as that trim. I'm not really quite sure how old this particular car is. But anyway, yeah, so you get some nice window detail here, little rain shelter there on the top of the window. Xylitol beer written with the looks like a coat of arms type of graphic there, and we have some steel bracing here to hold that keg in place, that large keg. And then we've got the bumper here with some simulated bolt work, nice detail, center located buffer, and then your hook and loop coupler. All right, let's take a look at the top and bottom. Here's the top. This is the roof line here. It has this kind of, I think this is a weathering effect that they put on the top. So it kind of starts dark here, and then it gets like a little, what looks like simulated sun bleaching or just weathering at the top. So that's kind of a nice detail. And then you've got some roof kind of seams here molded into the plastic. Those are kind of nice. And then at each end as well. And then of course the barrel just continues over with the barrel bands there, keeping the barrel of the keg together. So yeah, very nice. Let's take a look at the bottom. Okay, so the bottom of these LGB cars actually have quite a bit of detail on them. Here you can see again the metal wheels again, and then some wiring here. This is for the lighting inside the cabin. The bottom has a lot of mechanical detail on here molded into the plastic, so there's lots of bracing. You can see the wood flooring underneath. That simulated woodwork, it looks like from here. And then you've got the hook and loop coupler. You've got the pivot point here for the truck, single axle truck. Not that much more to say about that, but like I said, just a lot of mechanical work, a lot of bracing, things like that. So just to give you a look at the bottom of the car. Okay, let's give it one more turn on the turntable. Okay, if I didn't mention it, the car is about 15 inches long from tip of coupler to tip of coupler, 15 inches. So let's give it one final spin. Okay, and there you have it, the LGB Zillital Bear Car. Okay guys, just a quick note before we end the video. We did do a quick test to make sure that the lighting worked inside the car. So we hooked up our power pack to the track, and as you can see from this angle here, we have a light bulb that's in the main cabin of the car, and that seems to be lighting up just fine. Okay, and then if we just change angles slightly, you can see that light bulb that's in the upper right-hand corner of the door. That, again, is the one in the cabin. And then the one that's in the lower left side of the door, that is the light that is in the barrel. So you have a light bulb in each section of the car. Okay, and then here's an angle from the front of the barrel, front of the car. And you can see that the light bulb that's in the barrel through that window that's in the front of the barrel. Yeah, so lighting works good. Can't wait to see it in the dark when we run it on the railroad. Okay, just one quick note before we end. Normally we would review a car and then take it out on the railroad and show you the car we just reviewed in detail in action on the railroad. But it's January here in the Northeast, and so our railroad is dismantled for the winter, and so we're really looking forward to running this in the spring when it warms up and we get our railroad all set up for the year. And we'll be sure to show you both of the cars that we reviewed in this video together on the railroad in the spring.